Welcome back to the 805 Live podcast show, where we are pulling back the curtain on truths, myths of real estate here in the 805 and beyond. I'm Sergio Gonzalez, and I have with me, of course, my co-host Courtney Allen.
Yes, hello.
Welcome back. Thank
you. Welcome back.
So, what are we gonna talk about today?
I think our second episode, because COVID's not going anywhere. Coronavirus. Thank goodness that it's getting better. We're getting the vaccines and cases are lower in this area. But I think people want to know, how much has real estate changed during coronavirus?
Yeah, I think it's really changed because, like we were really big on event marketing. Right. Some people will naturally think of open houses.
I was just thinking that.
Right. Like I think we've kind of, that was one of our signature kind of marketing campaigns, was around event marketing. So more than just an open house, right? We would, have sushi bars. We've had brunches. We've had, during the wintertime or holiday season, we had, carolers. You
did a lot for the community.
Yeah, we did a lot for the neighborhood to really kind of bring an experience to our listings and to our brand and to our agents. I think that was one of our signature moves that was really popular for us. And all of that obviously is gone. Yeah. Right? Like we really had to change what we were doing and still trying to give people that experience, right? As well. So, but I think the experience now really has changed to figuring out, how do we keep people safe? Yeah. Right? How do we keep people safe? How do we keep people on both ends, right? Like the sellers are worried about who's coming into their house, and the buyers are worried about what they're walking into. Mm-hmm. So I think it was bringing certainty and confidence that, hey, we have policies, we have procedures, we have safety precautions, that were taking place to make sure that, the seller feels good about people coming to a showing. Right. And then that the buyer feels comfortable coming into the house. So I think that's really changed.
What exactly do you do for a showing now?
So, everybody wears gloves or masks. Right. Everybody has to sign a COVID release form, essentially, right? Making aware that, hey, someone's coming into your house, you're walking into someone's house. Right. You're stating that you don't have any symptoms. They're stating they don't have any symptoms. So it's more of a disclosure and acknowledgement on both parts. But it certainly, it also in that form, it's like, if I get COVID or I have a job loss or something to that effect, that I can back out of the deal. Right. So is that something you want to allow to happen as a seller? Right. Or as a buyer? Right. What if the seller has COVID and they're like, you know what, I don't want to sell my house anymore because I can't go anywhere, I'm quarantined, or like, so there still is some dynamic there that has to be, be understood and worked out. If any of those things happen, you have a job loss because of what's happening in the economy. You have a loss of income. Right. Maybe you don't lose your job, but you might lose your income, right? Like take a pay cut, reduced hours, reduced income. Maybe the kids can't go back to school, so now you can't go really back to work full time. Yeah. Right? So there's a lot of things I think that people have had to adjust for in this time, on how they're looking at their housing situation, what home now means to them. I think has had to take on a definition, and how much more the home now needs to be used, not only for coming home, dinner time, hangout time, bedtime, right? It's more of like, I live there, work there, play there, right? Because things have been closed. So you're literally doing almost all of those activities there, right? You're living there, you're working there, you're playing there.
Spending more time with your family.
So I think people have I think that's what's really driven, I think, the market that we're currently in, which is insane. And I think a lot of people were expecting the exact opposite. I mean, honestly, in the very beginning, I was expecting the exact opposite, right? Economy shut down, businesses shutting down, people losing jobs and income. Like, here comes real estate crash, 2008, 2009 again.
Right.
And I think, obviously, the complete opposite has happened, so...
It's so crazy because I agree with you. And the amount of people I know that are from the East Coast that are moving to California because they want a house. They want a bigger house. They are willing to invest and buy, which is, I mean, it's so great. But like you said, I just think it's super interesting that actually real estate business is booming.
It is booming right now.
Yeah.
And I think people are also figuring out, like, oh my God, I'm working from home. It doesn't look like we're going to be required to go back to the brick and mortar. Like, why am I not living where I've always wanted to live?
Yes.
And for a lot of people currently, that is out of state, right? Like, it's not even here in California. A lot of people are moving to Washington, Oregon, Nevada, Arizona, Florida, and Texas. I mean,
oh yeah.
I almost thought maybe I should like take 6 months, go move to Texas.
Oh wow.
Sell a bunch of houses because the market is like insane.
Right.
And then come back, right? Like, but you have a mass exodus from the urban, cities where you've had to be there because of commute times and you not got to be in the brick and mortar office. And now everybody's been mandated to work from home in some industries or whatnot.
Right.
And so then they're like, hey, I'm producing or just as effective with my work and what needs to be done for the company from home. And the employers are like, well, why don't you just continue to work from home?
Right.
And maybe we don't need this, 10,000 square foot space. Maybe we don't need to have this additional overhead if our employees can manage to be just as effective, if not more effective, working from home. And so I think there's a huge shift in the real estate space right now and what that looks like from a consumer standpoint.
Right.
And what that also means for an employer standpoint.
Right.
I think it's really just knock down barriers to where you're going to get recruit talent from, right? So if I'm a business owner and I can have people work from home, well, you can be in Tennessee, you can be in Washington, you
anywhere.
can be literally anywhere now.
Yeah.
As long as you have, I think, the systems and processes in place that can, monitor and manage and oversee, and you have the infrastructure, web-based sharing documents and emails and video conferences and things like that. It's become the norm. And so when we look at now, I think with appointments, right, with buyers and sellers, like we would come to your house and do the whole tour and all that. Maybe that's going to change now where it's all done through Zoom or FaceTime.
Yeah.
And don't necessarily have to go to do that. It's always a good idea, I personally think. But I think from a meeting with just how many appointments you need to go on, do you really need to be in person when everybody's so comfortable now? Just, hey, I'm at home. Can we just hop on a Zoom call?
Yeah, like I just want to stay in my PJs all day.
I just want to stay in my PJs. My wife's here. And it's just easy, right? You don't have to go through the whole. Now you can put a green screen, right?
I do that on all my Zoom calls. It makes it so much better.
Yeah.
How different has it been in your work environment with your employees? Like I feel like because this business is so like hands-on, and maybe it is better in person to talk to your employees. How different is that now?
Number one, real estate has been determined an essential business, right? So, truly blessed that we were able to be classified as an essential business.
Seriously.
Finally, agents are getting some credibility on our importance here.
Snap of the episode.
Right?
Snap of the episode.
And so we've been truly blessed to be able to do that, continue to do that. But I think I just lost my train of thought. What was the question again?
It's prime morning snack time.
Yeah.
It was about, oh my gosh, how the work environment.
Oh yeah, work environment. Right.
Yep.
So yes, so we're being classified as essential business, so we're able to keep working.
Yeah.
But what that meant for the team was definitely like, hey, because there's still a mandated stay home order kind of deal, right? So we communicated through Zoom, we communicated through conference calls. Come into the office if you need to. If you don't have to, then don't.
Yeah.
But we really still needed to stay connected, right?
Yeah.
So through social media, sometimes being in the office, right? We would still do our weekly meetings, wearing masks or, social distancing, stuff like that.
And your place, I mean, it's beautiful.
Yeah,
Absolutely
I think,
stunning.
I think so. I mean, we really, thanks
you decked it out.
Thanks to our stager, our in-house stager, Jennifer Paltz Newman.
Yes.
She's done an amazing job.
Yeah, seriously.
And I think everybody comes in here and is like, wow, wasn't expecting that.
That's what I did. I was like, oh, this couch, it's so modern. Yeah. It's great.
Yeah, very homey, I think.
And spacious.
Yeah. Open concept kind of vibe for sure.
Yeah, I love that. I feel like, too, social media has been so good during this time for you.
I think that, it was an interesting time in regards to social media because it was during an election time. It was during COVID time. And you have a massive amount of opinions happening.
Oh, that's why I got off of Facebook. I couldn't do it.
There's a massive amount of opinions happening on both sides of spectrum, right?
Yeah.
And as an agent, not even as a business owner, right? As a business owner in the community, 50% of the community is for one person or one thought process. And then 50% is on the other side.
Yeah.
So which side do you want to eliminate?
Right.
Right. Based on your personal beliefs. So as a business owner, I think we really have to try and stay neutral as much as possible. And not really voice too much on what
it can get sticky.
You can get sticky. And as I think people witnessed during this, through this election and through COVID, that a lot of people lost friends, a lot of people gained friends.
Yes.
And relationships you saw, just unravel.
Yeah.
That, it was kind of sad to see. And so I really kind of tried to, I think I took a step back because I was like, oh my God, what is happening?
I know, I agree.
And also too, like early on during the pandemic, there's a lot of people struggling, right? They've lost their jobs. They can't take time off to be at home with their kids.
Yeah.
And so those are hard decisions that people are having to make. They couldn't make money anymore. So do I really want to be like, hey, check out my amazing $2 million listing.
Every day is different.
Look how awesome, my job is. And look at me. And I was like,
yeah.
I didn't feel it was the right time to be doing that. So we really try to change the message and the messaging around, how can we rally around the community? How can we rally around business owners?
Yeah.
What value can we bring to people that have questions that are unanswered? How am I going to shift the way I do business now? What resources are out there for me as a business owner to push through, right? With the PPP loan programs, the idle loan programs, like all these programs, a lot of people were confused and had questions and misinformation everywhere around it. And so we were trying to push people like, hey, be on the lookout for this program that's being released. Hey, think about getting a home equity line on your home before they, shut it down. And be careful about, qualifying for a loan right now and what you're reporting and your income and your job and how you're reporting taxes and your P&Ls. Like, there's a lot of stuff happening as ramifications of all of this.
Yeah.
And people just don't know. So I think that was more of the messaging that we were trying to push out in social media. But I think as time has now passed on, I think people are now, I think people have adjusted, I should say, right? They've kind of made some adjustments to where, okay, life has to go on, right? Business has to go on, life has to go on. We have to figure it out. So now we need to be pushing, hey, look at me because I have a business and I have to support my family and I can help you and get back into that self-promotion that helps your own family.
Yeah.
And then aligning yourself, I think, with other people in the community that want to do the same thing. So
for sure. I was going to ask if you have any more recommendations, but I feel like you kind of just said that in the last question about like what else could you be doing during this time as a real estate company or buyers, like anything else that you would want to say?
I think, video is king right now.
Yeah.
Across all platforms. So how are you going to reach the most amount of people in the shortest amount of period of time?
I mean, look what we're doing.
For free, right? For free. And I think it's, Instagram Live, Facebook Live, TikToks, and any other platform that's out there. I think you have to embrace it.
Yeah.
You have to be comfortable being uncomfortable, right? Like, this is our second episode.
Yeah.
It is not going to be perfect. I don't expect it to be perfect, but I expect progress.
For sure.
And not perfection, right? And I think teaming up with you and Will behind the camera here.
Thank you, Will.
I think we are primed to be a success.
Yeah.
And so I think it's things like that, right? Like just taking the first step, right? Like, I didn't know anything about podcasts. I didn't know where to begin. I didn't know where to start. And I reached out, right?
Yeah.
To your dad and then connecting me with you.
Yeah.
And I was like, I want to start a podcast. I don't know how to start a podcast. You're in charge, right? Like, basically.
And we're doing it. Like.
And we're doing it. And so I think that's part of it is just taking massive action, doing it, failing forward, right? I think we talked about that on the last episode. It's like, here we are failing forward. We're going to fail our way to making this the very best podcast out here in the 805 that people are going to be like, hey, Courtney and Serge are awesome. Like, they're so funny, so entertaining.
We are so funny.
Right? We are super funny. Ha, 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 ha. And I think people are gonna resonate with us, right? And when they meet us at the store, or see us at at the park, or at Stonehouse, right?
Yes,
we should move our podcast to Stonehouse.
It would be so cold.
Right. Well, summertime we should do.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully I mean, right? I really hope that Corona's
we
gone by then.
We should have I have a feeling we're gonna be talking about so much about Stonehouse. We should have them sponsor this podcast.
Should we?
Right? Like, we're gonna have so many shout outs.
Please don't
John?
love the cookies.
John and Chris, watch this. But in any case, I think it's taking that first step.
Yeah.
Right? And pulling in resources, right? Like I pulled you in and creating a relationship and figuring it out and not being afraid. Like, you have to be comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I've never done a podcast. I've never sat in front of a camera this long, right? I've done listing videos where I was like, hey, it's Sergio, welcome to my new listing and ta-da-da. But it's like, it's for bite-size little segment, right? But I think that it's being accepting of change and trying something new, taking massive action, not expecting perfection, being okay with progress, and learning and evolving and innovating. And I mean, that's basically what SG Associates and I believe in what we stand for. So here we are, like, living proof of that, right? So, and we've had our struggles, right? We certainly had to adjust accordingly, right? With the amount of appointments or sales and no more open houses.
Right.
no more event marketing. Like those are like, that's like super fun. Like that's what I lived for. Like honestly, it was like throwing awesome parties and
but really,
events.
Like open houses, like you get to have food there.
Yeah, we're gonna have awesome stuff, and I think a lot of the neighbors miss it too.
Oh, for sure, for sure.
So
I think that's a good way to like put it for this episode. Yes, we've all had some hard times, but in the end, you have grown your business still, and you're learning more about it and able to do so much more.
Yeah, I mean, it's I think you can never stop learning. I think the minute you start learning is when your business starts dying.
Yeah.
Right? So I think you kind of constantly have to be open to new change and progress.
New change and progress. I feel like that should be like a slogan.
Yeah, right?
That could be up on here somewhere. New change and progress.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. Yeah. I think that's a good way to end the episode.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Well, stay tuned for our next episode. Thanks for joining us on this series of 805 Live. Be sure to subscribe to our channel and also ring the little bell and be on the alert for our future episodes. And follow us on Instagram and Facebook.
Yeah.
I'm Sergio Gonzalez with SG Associates and Courtney Allen. We got to come up with a nice title for you, by the way.
For me? Really? What do you think?
Director of digital marketing, media,
oh my gosh,
something. Let us know what you guys think Courtney's title should be. Maybe we'll take it from the listeners.
Great. Sounds good.